Everybody wants the money, but very few people want to become the person the money is attracted to. You don't chase money. Money chases value. Let me say that again, because some of you missed it while you were thinking about your bank balance. You don't chase money. Money chases value. And if money is running away from you, it's not because it hates you. It's because you haven't given it a reason to stay. See, money is loyal, but it's only loyal to results. It's only loyal to impact. It's only loyal to solutions. Money doesn't care how bad you want it. Money doesn't care how hard your life has been. Money doesn't care how many hours you put in if those hours don't produce something meaningful. Money only responds to one thing: value. We live in a generation that's obsessed with outcomes but allergic to process. Everybody wants the paycheck, but nobody wants to master the craft. Everybody wants financial freedom, but nobody wants personal discipline. Everybody wants the reward, but they don't want the responsibility that comes with becoming valuable. You can't skip the becoming part. You can't shortcut the growth. You can't microwave greatness. If you're not getting paid what you think you're worth, the hard truth is this: the marketplace is always honest. The market doesn't lie. If the money isn't coming, it's giving you feedback, not punishment. It's telling you you still have work to do. Value is not what you say you bring. Value is what other people can feel, use, measure, and rely on. Value is when you solve problems that matter. Value is when you make someone's life easier, better, faster, stronger, or clearer. And the bigger the problem you solve, the bigger the check that follows. You want more money, but what you really need is more skill. You want more income, but what you really need is more impact. You want more opportunities, but what you really need is more usefulness. Because nobody pays for potential. They pay for performance. Some of you are frustrated because you've been working hard, but hard work alone doesn't guarantee success. Hard work without direction is just exhaustion. Hard work without growth is just repetition. You can be busy and still be broke. You can be tired and still be stuck. You can be grinding and still be going nowhere if your grind is not increasing your value. Don't confuse effort with effectiveness. Don't confuse motion with progress. The question is not how hard are you working. The question is how valuable are you becoming while you work. Look at every high-paid individual, every successful entrepreneur, every leader at the top of their field. They didn't get paid because they needed the money. They got paid because they solved problems others couldn't. They learned what others avoided. They practiced what others quit. They stayed consistent when others got comfortable. And over time, their values separated them from the crowd. That's why the money followed them. Money is a follower. It follows discipline. It follows mastery. It follows execution. It follows result. Stop asking for more money and start asking better questions. What skills am I lacking? What problems can I solve better than before? Where do I need to improve? What am I avoiding because it's uncomfortable? Growth lives in discomfort. Value is built in the dark, when nobody is clapping, when nobody is watching, when nobody is paying you extra yet. You don't become valuable on payday. You become valuable on the days you show up early, stay late, study longer, practice harder, and demand more from yourself than the world is demanding from you. Some of you want a raise, but you haven't raised your standards. You want promotion, but you haven't upgraded your preparation. You want a breakthrough, but you're still operating with a breakdown mindset. You want millionaire money with minimum wage habits. It doesn't work like that. The level of your income will never consistently exceed the level of your value. You might get lucky once, but luck doesn't sustain lifestyles. Value does. Discipline does. Growth does. When you focus on money, you become impatient. When you focus on value, you become powerful. Money comes fast and leaves fast if you don't know how to keep creating value. That's why some people win big and lose it all. They chase money instead of mastering worth. They wanted the spotlight without the substance. They wanted the reward without the responsibility. But when you build value, nobody can take that away from you. Skills can't be stolen. Discipline can't be robbed. Mindset can't be fired. This is the school of hard. And the first lesson is simple but not easy. Stop chasing what you want and start becoming what the world needs. The world doesn't owe you a paycheck. Life doesn't owe you success. You are paid in direct proportion to the problems you solve and the results you deliver. If you're underpaid, don't get bitter. Get better. Don't complain. Compete. Don't blame. Build. Every gap between where you are and where you want to be is filled with value you haven't developed yet. When you walk into a room, ask yourself, what do I bring to the table? Not what do I want from the table. When you show up to work, ask yourself, how can I make this place better, stronger, more efficient? When you wake up in the morning, ask yourself, how can I grow today? Because growth compounds, value compounds. And one day, without chasing, without begging, without forcing, the money will start looking for you, calling you, following you, responding to who you have become, not who you wish you were. Everybody wants to get paid, but very few people want to get skilled. Everybody wants the lifestyle, but they don't want the learning curve. Let me make this clear in the school of hard. Skills pay bills, not wishes. You can wish all day, you can pray all night, you can talk about what you're going to do for years. But if you don't have a skill that solves a real problem, the bills don't care about your intentions. The lights don't stay on because you're motivated. Rent doesn't get paid because you had a good idea. The world rewards ability, not desire. A lot of people confuse passion with preparation. They think because they love something, they deserve to be paid for it. Love is a starting point, not a qualification. Passion without skill is just emotion. You can be excited and still be ineffective. You can be inspired and still be replaceable. The marketplace doesn't hire feelings, it hires function. It pays for people who can execute under pressure, deliver consistently, and produce results when it counts. That's why some people with less talent but more discipline go further than people with raw potential who never sharpen their skill set. Wishes are cheap. Everybody has them. Everybody wishes they made more money. Everybody wishes they had more freedom. Everybody wishes life was easier. But wishing doesn't require sacrifice. Wishing doesn't demand focus. Wishing doesn't force you to change. Skills do. Skills require repetition when you're tired. Skills require humility when you realize you're not as good as you thought. Skills require patience when progress feels slow and invisible. That's why most people quit at the wishing stage and never make it to the skill building stage. If you look at your income right now, it's directly connected to the skills you can apply under real world conditions. Not the skills you talk about, not the skills you almost learn, the skills you can use when it's uncomfortable, when it's inconvenient, when nobody is helping you. You don't get paid for what you know in theory. You get paid for what you can do in practice. Information is everywhere, but transformation is rare because most people consume knowledge without committing to mastery. Some of you are stuck financially not because the system is rigged, but because your skill set is outdated. The world changes fast, and if you don't upgrade yourself, you get left behind. What worked 5 years ago might not work today. What pays average now might pay nothing tomorrow. That's why you can't afford to stop learning. The moment you stop developing skills is the moment you cap your income. Comfort is expensive and complacency costs more than effort ever will. In the school of hard, excuses don't count. You don't get extra credit for potential. You don't get a bonus for effort if the result isn't there. You are evaluated by performance. That's not cruel. That's clarity. Once you understand that, you stop complaining and start training. You stop making excuses and start making progress. You stop waiting for opportunities and start preparing for them. Because opportunity doesn't look for wishers. Opportunity looks for workers who are ready. Some of you want multiple streams of income, but you haven't mastered one skill yet. You want entrepreneurship, but you haven't learned how to sell, communicate, manage time, or solve problems. You want success without fundamentals, and that's why you keep starting and stopping. Skills stack. One skill builds on another. Discipline builds consistency. Consistency builds confidence. Confidence builds competence, and competence gets compensated. Look at any industry. The people who make the most money are not the loudest. They're not always the most popular. They are the most capable. They can do what others can't or won't do. They handle pressure better. They adapt faster. They learn quicker. They execute cleaner. And because they are rare, they are valuable. The market always pays a premium for rarity, and rarity is created through skill. Stop spending all your time dreaming about success and start investing time in becoming undeniable. Practice when nobody is watching. Study when nobody is clapping. Train when nobody is paying you extra yet. Those unpaid hours are not wasted hours. They are investments. Every skill you develop is a tool you carry for life. Jobs can be taken. Titles can be removed. Money can be lost, but skills stay with you wherever you go. Some of you keep saying you don't have time, but what you really mean is it's not a priority. You make time for what you value. You find time for what you believe in. If your growth is optional, your income will always be limited. Skill development is not convenient. It competes with comfort, entertainment, and excuses. That's why it works. If it was easy, everybody would be elite. The school of hard teaches this truth early, so you don't have to learn it late. Nobody owes you a paycheck for your dreams. Nobody owes you success for your struggle. The world only pays for results delivered through skill. You don't rise by hoping. You rise by honing. You don't win by wishing. You win by working on the right things day after day, rep after rep, mistake after mistake, until your skill level speaks louder than your words. Everybody wants to be noticed, but very few people want to be needed. And that's the difference right there. If you want attention, you can talk louder, post more, flex harder, and still be replaceable. But if you want impact, if you want opportunity, if you want doors to open without you knocking, you've got to become so useful you can't be ignored. In the school of hard, usefulness beats popularity. clarity every single time. The world doesn't reward noise. It rewards necessity. A lot of people are focused on being seen instead of being valuable. They want likes, validation, applause, and recognition before they've earned relevance. But visibility without value is a short-term gain. You might trend today and disappear tomorrow. You might go viral once and still be broke next year, because attention fades, but usefulness lasts. When people need you, they remember you. When you solve problems consistently, they call you back. When you add real value, you don't have to beg for opportunities. Opportunities look for you. Think about it. Who do you rely on when things get hard? Not the loudest person in the room, not the one with the best talk. You rely on the one who delivers, the one who shows up prepared, the one who handles pressure without complaining, the one who finds solutions instead of excuses. That person doesn't need to announce their importance. Their results introduce them. Their usefulness speaks for them in rooms they're not even in. Becoming useful requires humility. You have to be willing to start where you are, not where your ego wants you to be. You have to be willing to learn what others avoid. You have to be willing to do the work others think is beneath them. That's how you separate yourself. While everyone else is chasing titles, you're mastering tools. While everyone else is waiting for credit, you're focused on contribution. And over time, contribution turns into influence. Some of you are frustrated because you feel invisible. You feel overlooked. You feel like nobody is giving you a chance. But let me tell you something real. The world overlooks average. It ignores replaceable. It moves past people who bring nothing unique to the table. If 10 people can do what you do at the same level, there's no urgency to choose you. But when you develop a skill, a mindset, a work ethic that's rare, you create demand, and demand eliminates competition. Usefulness is built in the small moments. It's built when you solve problems without being asked. It's built when you take responsibility instead of passing blame. It's built when you improve systems instead of just following them. It's built when you listen more than you speak and observe more than you complain. The school of hard teaches you to think like a problem solver, not a problem reporter. Anyone can point out what's wrong. Value is created by those who fix what's wrong. You don't become useful overnight. It's a process. It's repetition. It's making mistakes and correcting them. It's staying committed when there's no immediate reward. A lot of people quit too early because usefulness doesn't always get instant applause. Sometimes you're adding value behind the scenes while someone else is getting credit on the stage. But the funny thing about value is this: it always finds its way to the surface. You can only hide real usefulness for so long before it's recognized. Stop trying to impress people and start trying to serve people. Impressing is about ego. Serving is about impact. When you focus on service, your mindset shifts. You stop asking what's in it for me and start asking, how can I help? That shift changes everything. It changes how people see you. It changes how opportunities flow to you, because people trust those who consistently show up with solutions. Some of you want leadership, but leadership is not about position. It's about usefulness. Leaders are the ones people turn to when things go wrong. Leaders are the ones who stay calm in chaos. Leaders are the ones who take ownership when others run from responsibility. If you want to lead, become indispensable. If you want influence, become reliable. If you want growth, become useful in more ways than one in the school of hard. Excuses don't make you valuable. Effort alone doesn't make you valuable, and intention doesn't make you valuable. Results do. Consistency does. Reliability does. When people know they can count on you, you've already separated yourself from most of the crowd. When people know you'll deliver no matter what, you've made yourself hard to ignore. Being useful also means being adaptable. The world changes. Industries shift. Technology evolves. If you cling to one way of doing things, you eventually become irrelevant. Usefulness requires learning, unlearning, and relearning. It requires curiosity. It requires staying sharp, even when you're already good, because yesterday's skills don't always solve today's problems. If you want to stop chasing opportunities and start attracting them, focus on this one thing. How can I make myself more useful today than I was yesterday? Not more popular, not more visible, more useful. Solve one more problem, learn one more skill, improve one more process, help one more person. Those small upgrades compound over time. And one day, without warning, without noise, without begging, you'll look up and realize you're no longer fighting to be seen, because your value has made you impossible to ignore. A lot of people are proud of how hard they work, and they should be, but hard work by itself is not the trophy. Hard work without value is just struggle. It's sweat without strategy. It's effort without elevation. In the school of hard, we don't celebrate being tired. We celebrate being effective. Because you can give everything you have and still get nowhere if what you're giving doesn't create results that matter. Some of you wake up early, stay up late, and grind every single day, yet you're still in the same place year after year. Not because you're lazy, but because you're locked into a cycle of effort without improvement. You're doing more of what doesn't work instead of learning how to do what does. Activity feels productive, but productivity is about outcomes, not motion. Just because you're busy doesn't mean you're building value. Struggle becomes dangerous when you start confusing it with progress. You start wearing exhaustion like a badge of honor. You start telling people how hard your life is, how much you're sacrificing, how tired you are, as if pain alone is supposed to pay you back. But pain is not currency. Struggle doesn't guarantee success. Growth does. Learning does. Execution does. If struggle automatically created results, everybody who's suffering would be successful by now. Hard work must be attached to learning, or it turns into repetition. If you're working hard but not getting better, you're stuck. The goal is not to do the same thing longer. The goal is to do the right things better. The school of hard teaches you to step back and ask hard questions. What am I doing that actually moves the needle? What am I doing out of habit instead of purpose? Where am I wasting energy? Because energy is limited and value comes from focus. Some of you are loyal to routines that no longer serve you. You're working hard at skills that the market no longer needs. You're grinding in directions that don't lead anywhere. And instead of adjusting, you double down on effort, thinking more hours will fix a strategy problem. But effort can't compensate for misalignment. You can't outwork a wrong direction. You have to correct it. Hard work should make you sharper, not just more tired. Every day you show up, you should be learning something new, refining something old, improving your execution. If today looks exactly like yesterday and yesterday looks exactly like last year, you're not growing, you're looping. Value is created when effort leads to improvement. Improvement leads to better results. Better results lead to better opportunities. A lot of people are afraid to evaluate themselves honestly. They'd rather say I'm working hard than ask, am I working smart? But self-evaluation is a form of self-respect. It's how you break out of unnecessary struggle. It's how you turn effort into progress. The school of hard doesn't reward comfort. It rewards awareness. You have to know where you're weak so you can strengthen it. You have to know where you're inefficient so you can fix it. Struggle also becomes a problem when you stop taking responsibility for results. You start blaming circumstances, people, timing, the system. But the moment you stop owning outcomes, you stop growing. Hard work with accountability creates power. Hard work without accountability creates excuses. You can't improve what you refuse to own, and ownership is what turns effort into value. Look at people who are winning consistently. They still work hard, but their hard work is precise. It's intentional. It's focused. They know why they're doing what they're doing. They track results. They adjust when something isn't working. They don't fall in love with effort. They fall in love with effectiveness. That's why they don't burn out as fast. That's why their work compounds instead of draining them. In the school of hard, you're taught to upgrade your effort. Same intensity, better direction, same hunger, sharper execution, same discipline, higher standards. When you attach learning to labor, struggle turns into skill. When you attach reflection to repetition, effort turns into elevation. When you attach accountability to action, work turns into work. Some of you don't need more motivation. You need more clarity. You don't need to work harder. You need to work better. You don't need longer days. You need stronger decisions. The goal is not to eliminate hard work. The goal is to make sure your hard work is producing value that the world actually rewards. If you want to escape constant struggle, stop glorifying exhaustion and start measuring progress. Ask yourself every week, what did I improve? What did I learn? What result did I create? Because effort without results is a warning sign, not a flex. The school of hard is about transforming struggle into strength by making sure every ounce of effort is building something that lasts. Most people spend their entire lives wanting more money, more respect, more opportunities, more freedom. And they think the key to getting more is asking for more, demanding more, wishing for more. But in the school of hard, you learn this early. Stop wanting more and start becoming more, because life doesn't respond to need. It responds to growth. The level of your results will always match the level of your development. Wanting is easy. It costs nothing. You can want something while staying exactly the same. You can want success with the same habits, the same mindset, the same excuses. That's why wanting keeps people stuck. Becoming, on the other hand, demands change. It demands discipline. It demands sacrifice. It forces you to confront who you are today and who you need to become tomorrow. And most people avoid that confrontation because it's uncomfortable. Every new level in life requires a new version of you. The habits that got you here won't take you there. The thinking that feels normal right now may be the very thing holding you back. You don't rise by asking life to give you more. You rise by upgrading yourself so you can handle more responsibility, more pressure, more opportunity, more success. Growth always comes before reward. Some of you are frustrated because you're asking for blessings your character can't sustain. You want the money, but you don't have the discipline to manage it. You want the platform, but you don't have the maturity to lead it. You want the spotlight, but you haven't developed the consistency to stay there. Life protects you by delaying what you're not ready for. That delay is not denial, it's preparation. In the school of hard, excuses are exposed quickly. You stop blaming your environment and start examining yourself. You stop saying if only and start asking what now, because growth is an inside job. You can change cities, jobs, relationships, and routines. But if you don't change who you are, you'll keep producing the same results in different places. Becoming more starts with personal responsibility. Growth is not glamorous. It's repetitive. It's boring. It's doing the basics when nobody is watching. It's reading when others are scrolling. It's training when others are resting. It's choosing discipline over comfort again and again. That's why so few people commit to it. They want the outcome without the process. They want the reward without the repetition. But there is no shortcut to becoming. Stop focusing on what you lack and start focusing on what you can develop. Skills can be learned. Mindsets can be rewired. Habits can be rebuilt. Confidence can be earned. Discipline can be trained. You are not stuck. You are unfinished. And the gap between where you are and where you want to be is filled with growth you haven't committed to yet. Some of you are waiting for motivation to change, but motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes. Discipline is what stays. Discipline is what shows up when motivation disappears. Becoming more requires structure. It requires standards. It requires doing what needs to be done even when you don't feel like it. Feelings are temporary. Growth is permanent. You don't become more by accident. You become more by design. You decide what kind of person you need to be. Then you build habits that support that identity. You don't say, I want success and hope it shows up. You say, I will become disciplined, skilled, focused, and consistent, and let success be the byproduct. Identity drives behavior. Change the identity and the behavior follows. In the school of hard, comparison is a distraction. Your journey is not about catching up to someone else. It's about outgrowing your old self. Every day you ask one simple question. Am I better than I was yesterday? Not louder, not richer, not more praise, better, stronger mentally, sharper in skill, more disciplined in action, more intentional with time. Some of you want a breakthrough, but breakthroughs are built through small, boring improvements done consistently. You don't wake up one day transformed. You wake up one day realizing the small changes you committed to have changed everything. Becoming more is a daily decision, not a one-time event. If you want more from life, raise your standards. If you want better results, demand better from yourself. Stop negotiating with your weaknesses and start enforcing your potential. Life doesn't give more to those who ask louder. It gives more to those who grow deeper. In the school of hard, wanting keeps you dreaming, but becoming moves you forward into a life you can actually sustain. The market does not care about your intentions, your background, or your potential. It only responds to solutions. In the school of hard, this lesson hits early and it hits hard. The market pays for solutions, not potential. You can be talented and still be broke. You can be gifted and still be ignored. You can have big dreams and still struggle if you're not solving real problems for real people. Potential is dangerous when you fall in love with it. Potential makes you comfortable. Potential lets you believe you're special without proof. It tells you one day you'll do something great while quietly excusing the fact that today you didn't deliver anything measurable. The world is full of people with unrealized potential, and the market doesn't reward what could be. It rewards what is. It rewards results. It rewards execution. It rewards solutions that work under pressure. A solution is something that reduces pain, saves time, increases revenue, improves performance, or creates clarity. If what you're doing doesn't clearly do one of those things, the market won't pay you much for it. This is not personal. It's practical. The more painful the problem you solve, the more valuable your solution becomes. That's why people pay more for urgency, reliability, and effectiveness than for ideas and promises. Some of you keep saying you're just getting started, you're still learning, you have so much inside you. That may be true, but learning without application doesn't change your value. The school of hard teaches you to move from theory to execution as fast as possible. You don't need to know everything to solve something. You just need to know enough to create an outcome. Momentum comes from doing, not planning. The market is not impressed by your effort behind the scenes if it doesn't produce a visible result. Nobody pays you extra for how hard it was. They pay you for what it fixed. That's why complaining about struggle doesn't increase your income. Complaining doesn't solve problems. Solutions do. When you start thinking like a problem solver, your perspective shifts. You stop asking, what do I want, and start asking, what's broken and how can I fix it? Potential feels good because it's safe. Solutions are uncomfortable because they require responsibility. When you put a solution into the world, it can be tested, criticized, accepted, or rejected. Potential never risks rejection because it never shows up fully. But if you want to get paid, you have to step into discomfort. You have to put your work on the line. You have to let results speak. Look at any high earner in any field. They didn't get there because someone believed in their potential. They got there because they repeatedly delivered solutions people were willing to pay for. They learned from failure, adjusted their approach, and kept improving their outcomes. The School of Hard doesn't teach perfection, it teaches progress. A flawed solution that works is more valuable than a perfect idea that never leaves your head. Some of you are waiting for confidence before you act. Confidence comes after competence. Competence comes from solving problems. You build confidence by delivering results, not by imagining success. Every solution you deliver strengthens your belief in yourself. Every problem you solve increases your market value. Over time, that compound effect changes how people see you and how you see yourself. The market is constantly changing. New problems emerge. Old solutions become outdated. If you stop adapting, your value drops. That's why staying relevant is part of staying paid. Solutions require learning, testing, and updating. You can't rely on what worked once. You have to keep listening to the market, identifying pain points, and adjusting your approach. Flexibility is a form of intelligence. In the School of Hard, you learn to measure your value by outcomes. Did it work? Did it help? Did it solve the problem? Feedback becomes fuel instead of fear. When something doesn't work, you don't quit, you refine. You don't take it personally, you take it seriously. Because every failure is information guiding you toward a better solution. If you want to increase your income, stop marketing your potential and start packaging your solutions. Don't tell people what you could do. Show them what you've done. Results create trust. Trust creates demand. Demand creates compensation. The market doesn't pay for dreams. It pays for delivery. This is the final lesson of the School of Hard. Stop waiting to be discovered and start becoming useful through action. Potential is wasted if it never turns into results. Ideas are worthless if they never solve anything. The moment you shift your focus from who you could be to what you can fix right now, everything changes. Because the market is always watching, always evaluating, and always rewarding those who bring solutions that work.